Welcome to AI Brief, episode 225. I'm Amin, and today we're going to peel back the layers on some truly groundbreaking AI stuff. We're talking advancements that aren't just small steps, they feel like genuine leaps forward, things changing how we interact with digital worlds, and maybe even how AI itself gets built. So yeah, get ready for a deep dive.
And I'm Leah. Today we're zeroing in on, well, three really massive updates. Google's Genie 3 interactive world model, which sounds pretty wild. Then there's OpenAI's big strategic shift, finally dropping some open source models, and Anthropic keeps pushing with Claude Opus 4.1. Plus, we'll quickly get the other key news and tools you need from the AI world this week.
Okay, let's start with Google DeepMind's Genie 3, because this sounds like something else entirely. We talk a lot about training AI, embodied AI, usually in simulations, right? But what happens when the scenarios you need are just, I don't know, too complex, too hard to build, or maybe even too weird to even imagine?
Exactly, that's the core challenge they're tackling. And Genie 3 is their answer. It's a general-purpose interactive world model. Think about that. It generates interactive environments in real time from just a single text prompt. So you could say, like a cyberpunk city street at night, and boom, you're exploring it. And the key thing is, it keeps track of everything. The world stays consistent around you.
Wow, okay, consistency in a world that's being generated on the fly. That sounds incredibly difficult. How does that actually work? What are the technical details?
Yeah, the fidelity is pretty amazing. We're talking 720p environments. They have real-world physics baked in. And it all unfolds at, like, 24 frames per second, smoothly. It's like being inside a controllable dream. And crucially, it has about a minute of visual memory. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but for real-time AI generation, that's huge. It means the world remembers itself. It won't forget where you put something or a path you just made. It keeps things believable. And to make it controllable, it's constantly computing what's relevant from your past actions, tweaking the scene based on what you do. You can even jump in and change things, add characters, objects, tweak the environment, all live.
Okay, so yeah, definitely cooler games are possible here. But bigger picture. What does this actually unlock for AI development itself? Why is this so significant?
Right, it's way beyond just games. Genie 3's consistent frame-by-frame worlds are foundational for training embodied AI at scale. Think about it. AI models can now train in worlds that are infinitely varied, constantly changing worlds they create, so they can learn from true what-if situations. Like, what if the path just disappears? Or a character acts totally unexpectedly? They learn to adapt in real time, kind of like we do. This could massively speed up getting AI with real common sense AI that can generalize better, because it's not just stuck learning from human-made scenarios anymore. It's like giving AI an imagination it can learn from.
Okay, from generating worlds to, well, opening them up. Let's pivot to OpenAI. This feels like a big moment. For years, their best stuff has been behind APIs, but now a move towards open source that a lot of people have been waiting for. It feels like they're maybe living up to the open part of their name again.
It certainly feels that way. They've just released GPTOS 120B and GPTOS 20B. These are their first open-weight LLMs since GPT-2, way back in 2019. And importantly, they're under an Apache 2.0 license. That means you can grab them, run them locally, modify them. It's a pretty big deal for the open source community.
A very big deal. But how good are they? Are they actually competitive with their closed models, or is this more of a, gesture?
No, they seem genuinely competitive. The 120 billion parameter one, GPTOS 120B, apparently matches or even beats their own 4 mini model on some key benchmarks. And you can run it on an 80 GB GPU, which is still hefty, but achievable for many researchers and developers. The smaller 20B version is competitive with O3 Mini, and that one can run on a laptop with 16 GB of RAM. So yeah, these are capable. They also have features like adjustable reasoning, high, medium, low settings, and they handle what's called agentic workflows.
Agentic workflows.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that a bit? What does that mean these models can actually do?
Good question. It means they're not just spitting out text. They can take actions. They can understand when to use tools, like doing a web search if they need current info, or running Python code to analyze something, or calling an API. They can figure out the steps needed for a complex task and then use these tools to get it done. So giving developers direct access to models like this, models they can run themselves, tweak, understand, it's huge. It could really accelerate open source innovation even faster than it's already moving.
Okay, and the momentum keeps building. Anthropic isn't sitting still either. They've got an update too, right? adding to this packed week.
That's right. Anthropic dropped Claude Opus 4.1. It's described as an incremental upgrade to Opus 4, but it's specifically focused on improving performance in things like real-world coding, deep research tasks, and complex data analysis. Basically, areas where you need serious attention to detail and maybe those agentic capabilities we just talked about.
So refinement rather than revolution. Where are the improvements most noticeable?
They're citing specific benchmark gains. On SW Bench Verified, that's a tough benchmark for fixing bugs and coding changes in real software projects. It went from 72.5% up to 74.5%, which is a solid jump. They're also reporting gains in math, in agentic coding using Terminal Bench, in GBQA reasoning, that's like graduate level problem solving, and also in visual reasoning on MMMU. And they say customers are noticing it too, particularly for complex stuff like refactoring code across multiple files or finding tricky correlations in big code bases.
Okay, so real-world impact, not just numbers on a chart. How significant is 4.1 in the grand scheme of things right now?
Well, it's definitely a strong move from Anthropic, bolstering its strengths, especially in coding. But, everyone's kind of holding their breath, waiting for OpenAI's next big thing, potentially GPT-5. So the big question is how Opus 4.1 will stack up against that whenever it arrives. The competition, especially in coding performance, is incredibly fierce right now. This helps Anthropic hold its ground.
Absolutely. The pace with these core models is just relentless. But okay, beyond Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic, there's always a ton of other stuff happening. Let's take a slightly broader look. What else caught your eye this week in the AI space?
Okay, quick rundown. First, 11 Labs, known for voice AI, they've launched a model for generating commercial-ready music. What's interesting is their legal approach. Unlike others facing lawsuits, they've signed deals with Merlin Network and Cobalt Music Group. But critically, artists have to opt in to have their music used for training, trying to sidestep the legal drama.
Smart. Okay, what else?
Google added a neat storybook feature to the Gemini app. You can generate personalized, illustrated, narrated stories for free. Pretty cool creative tool. Then Perplexity acquired a company called Invisible. Sounds like they want to scale up their comment browser using Invisible's multi-agent tech. For consumers and enterprise, Elon Musk tweeted that Grok's Imagine image and video generator saw huge interest, like 20 million images generated in one day. Massive demand. Alibaba released some new models via API, the Flash series of Qwen 3 Coder and Qwen 3 2507. Big thing here is a huge 1 million token context window, and apparently low pricing. And Shopify rolled out new features for AI agents in e-commerce. Things like embedding checkout widgets into agents, faster product search, a universal cart, making online shopping smarter.
Wow, okay, that's a whirlwind of activity across music, creativity, search, e-commerce. AI is touching everything. And speaking of tools you could actually use, let's do a quick roundup of some trending AI tools people might want to check out.
Sounds good. First, Kaggle Game Arena. It's a benchmark, really, testing how well LLMs play strategic games that change over time. Measures their adaptability. ChatGPT, OpenAI's assistant, now has tools to help detect mental distress. An interesting application. Gemini Storybooks, we just mentioned that. Google's tool for creating narrated kid stories. OpenArt lets you turn basically anything like a prompt or an image into a video ready for social media. One click. Mockin is a job interview simulator specifically for UX, UI, and product designers. Practice tool. Trickle helps you turn ideas into actual live apps and websites using AI. Speeds up development. And TryScribe offers various AI tools to boost productivity, things like summarization, workflow streamlining.
What an absolutely packed week. Foundational models creating worlds, OpenAI going open source, constant refinement everywhere else. The pace is just staggering. Feels like we're barely scratching the surface.
It really is. And maybe a final thought for you to chew on. How does this ability for AI to not just use simulated worlds, but to actually create and evolve them, how does that change everything? How we design AI, how we train it, how we even define intelligence itself? If AI can create its own curriculum, its own reality to learn from, what happens next? Where does that lead and how fast?
That's definitely something to think about. A really powerful question about where this is all heading. Make sure you follow the deep dive for more explorations into AI's cutting edge.
And yeah, if you know anyone trying to keep up with AI, trying to understand what these changes actually mean, please share this deep dive with them. We'll catch you next time.